I tend to have this real reluctance to sketch with soft pastel, and I'm curious if you do too. And I've got some tips for like how I'm working on getting over it. I wouldn't say that I am over it though. The first thing I decided to do was crack out a tool that I have not used in the entire time that I've had it. I actually asked for this for my birthday, which was in March of this year, and yet I left it untouched until now. I can't explain this exactly because I wanted this tool. I really wanted to explore with it, and then when it finally showed up, somehow I seized up and just couldn't do it. So I don't know. I can't really explain that to you. Other than here we are. I decided today, like, okay, I'm just gonna crack out a new tool and I'm gonna go exploring. And that's gonna be part of my sketching format. I also decided to use paper that I don't care about. This is paper that's really inexpensive. It's not going to get me the best results, but because I don't care, it is exploring paper, and that's actually the Canson Métance. And this is a piece that I even got for free, so I was like, I can't lose here. And I just started to put color down. I tend to be really nervous sketching with soft pastel, and I think the reason is partly that if you make a mess, like if you accidentally put your palm down on part of your paper, or you put your tool down on a wrong part of your paper, or even so much as blow a little dust somewhere, it's going to make a mark that maybe you don't want, and then you can't really easily erase it. So I often feel like I have to do a background along with my work, and then that just adds this extra pressure because now I have to make an entire painting and not just a sketch. But this practice today is proving that wrong. I took the tool, I'm exploring with it, I'm using like different colors in the same kind of color family, just some oranges and reds and burgundies, and I'm just exploring with this tool and just putting it on and treating it more like I would in my actual sketchbook. For this sketch, I've grabbed a reference photo from the website Pixabay, which has royalty-free images. This one was from Franz W, so I would like to thank Franz, because I looked through my collection of poppies. I do have photos of poppies. They just weren't the right poppy. And you probably know this already, but just in case you don't, in your Photos app, you can do a search for poppy, and then anything with like poppy in the title or any picture that matches a poppy will come up, and I often do that for finding reference photos in my own gallery. Speaking of the middle of the poppy, I've grabbed my Terry Ludwig eggplant. I think this is possibly my favorite color. It might be the color and pastel that I can't actually do without. And so to create less scarcity and fear of using the color, I have two of them. And by having two sticks of it, I feel like I can actually use it. I'm aware of the ridiculousness of this, but I still highly recommend it in case you are afraid of using your favorite art supplies. Just get two. I think one of my other issues with sketching with soft pastel is that there's just this pressure that I feel like I have to make something good, especially actually because I'm a professional artist and I'm teaching tutorials. It feels like, you can't just pick up some supplies and just make a mess, but you actually don't develop unless you pick up your supplies and try to make a mess. Like, you've got to be willing to just get in there and do it. It's why it's a practice. And that's the whole point of practice, is just to get in there and try things and explore and learn new things. And how are you going to do that unless you're willing to risk making something truly terrible? And actually, this project didn't turn out terrible. But like most projects, it did go through a ugly sort of adolescent phase, and you really have to be willing to let your project go through a funky phase and then see it through to the other side. But that's often a fear and something that I think stops me, and I'm sure it is stopping other people too. And I would love to hear in the comments if you think that it does cause you reluctance, and I'd like to hear what your concerns are. Like, put them down in the comments, please. And if you're finding this valuable, then as always, please subscribe. I'd really appreciate that, and like the video. I grabbed my little square soft tool, and I chose the square because I wanted this still to be just like a little bit painterly, so I was looking for not a lot of control. But something I really enjoyed once I put the pan pastel down is that I lost that kind of honeycomb effect of the Canson Métance paper, which is something I don't like about the paper. I know that there are artists who probably enjoy that about the paper, but it is one of the things I don't. And so interesting, like using different tools, using different medium, I got a completely different effect here. And now maybe just through this exploration, I'm starting to grow a little more appreciation for the Canson Métance paper. I am really loving how the soft tool is blending these different pigments together, like when the kind of yellow or orange is going over the red, it's like so pretty, and I'm really loving the effect. And that's kind of giving me the sense that I need to set aside time for these kind of sketch explorations. This is something that I need to do more often. So I think set aside a time for practice, just like I would with yoga. I also think it's really valuable to pick a subject that's quite simple, something that you feel like you can tackle, whatever simple means to you. And honestly, sometimes when I'm really feeling kind of cautious in my own sketchbook, I will actually just play with mixing colors. I won't even do a subject. I'll just kind of swatch some colors down and then mix them. And then that gets me playing with my supplies. And then sometimes I feel brave enough to actually tackle a project. This subject itself might not be so simple, but it is Remembrance Day today, and so a poppy seemed like the right subject for today. And I always think about my grandparents whenever I am on Remembrance Day. This is a picture of my grandpa on my dad's side when he was in the service. Then these are medals for my grandpa on my mom's side for when he was serving in World War II. And I think part of this is like, I chose a poppy because it is Remembrance Day, and I was just sketching, and I wasn't trying to make it perfect. But even if you're doing something that is kind of simple and it's not perfect, and it's you just sort of expressing yourself, it can still have meaning. And I guess now I'm just thinking that I'm going to leave the rest of the video silent. It's going to be real time. Maybe you want to watch, or maybe you'd like to just paint along with me with your own sketch. And I hope that you can feel a little bit braver about trying sketches. I know I'm going to try to make it a practice where I sketch more often for shorter periods of time and try not to get so, worked up about it, really. Thank you very much for watching the video, and I would love to hear your thoughts, so please share them in the comments.